Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Independent Film Festival Boston. My name is Brian Tam. I'm the executive director here at the festival, and I'm very glad to welcome you to this special panel, which is a conversation with Chris Stinson and Amy Greene. Before we get started, it takes a lot of people to run the festival, so I want to thank all of our sponsors, especially WBUR, and I want to thank our volunteers, our staff, our members, our donors, and everyone who's helped support us over the last year. We truly appreciate it. And I want to give special thanks to the Mass Production Coalition for co-presenting this. This is one of two panels we have talking to producers. We have another producer roundtable next weekend. We really wanted to focus on producers this year because we spent a lot of time thinking about film this last year and how films are getting made during the pandemic. And it really got us to think that a lot of people watch films, but not everybody understands exactly what a producer does. And so we thought this would be a good opportunity to bring some producers in to kind of clarify it for people. And so we've got two super producers with us. So I want to bring up Amy Greene and Chris Stinson. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
They are no stranger to the festival. They've had several films here. Most recently, Sound of Metal, which played at the Fall Focus just this past year. And to be in conversation with them, we want to bring on filmmaker Mark Phinney.
Hey, guys.
Also no stranger to the festival. He's been a juror. His film Fat played in 2014. So we're really glad, Mark, to have you there. We're really looking forward to this conversation. So Phinney, I'm going to hand it off to you.
All right, cool. Thanks. Hey, guys.
Hey, Mac Phinney.
Hey, Finn.
Hey. So not only are you guys good friends of mine, but you guys are great producers, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about what you're doing and stuff like that. And I want to start off by saying you guys are in New York City right now. You're shooting, if I can say this, you're shooting the new Ray Romano movie.
You can't say that.
You can't say that? Oh.
No.
Yes, you can definitely say
I've
it.
already blown it away.
Yeah. We're just going to shut the movie down now. Let's go back to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
how's that going? How's the shoot going?
It's good. We're actually in, we just finished week 3 of production. So we're producing with Albert Berger and Ron Yerxa, some other producers we made Lowdown with. And yeah, it's fantastic. Amazing cast and crew. It's a you know, kind of love letter to Queens, this Italian family drama with a little comedy. And Ray Romano is directing.
So. And the crew's okay. It's not as good as a New England crew, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that. So you guys spent a lot of time in Los Angeles making movies. And Chris, you're from New Hampshire. And now you're back here living in New Hampshire. What is the difference between making your movies in Los Angeles and making them from back here? Is there a, you know, I know you love it so much back here. What's the difference between making movies in New England and Los Angeles?
Well, the big difference is the first 2 movies that we did back in Massachusetts were both up for Oscars. And that's about the only difference.
That's true. No, yeah, because Sound of Metal and Knives Out, we shot back to back. But yeah, I absolutely love the crew base in the Boston area and in Mass. You know, everyone we've worked with locally has been really incredible, and we hope to keep making movies in the area because we really love being there.
Yeah, the best part, there's, you know, the Massachusetts Film Office is super helpful. They help every movie that goes there as much as they can, and also the Massachusetts Production Coalition. If you need help, they're a huge resource. So you feel taken care of there. If you're not sure what's going on or what to do, you can reach out to those entities and they help. I can't say I feel that way in New York right now, but you know, LA is also so big that it's hard to get that like community help, and you have that in Massachusetts. So it's more fun. It's a little more homey to do it back in New England.
So you feel more of a community back here. You feel like people are willing to oh, sorry, my kitty. So you feel like there's more of a community. You want to see a kitty? Come here, kitty. Oh, she's not coming now. Oh well. But you've met her. You've met her before, Squirrel.
She's pretty nice.
She's pretty nice. So you feel like there's more of a community here that are willing to just like jump in and be hands-on and do it for the love of doing it, rather than somewhere like Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, there's also those people in Los Angeles as well, but I think it was more like the entities that'll help you, like the film office, the local towns. They're just more helpful. There hasn't been 100 million movies there for 100 years. So it's still kind of exciting to the area. People get excited to help, and that energy goes a long way when you don't have enough money, like on Sound of Metal, which was very low budget. And then, we use a lot of the same crew on Knives Out, which was a much bigger budget. But it's cool that you can find crew that can work on low budget and big budget, something they care about, which is more of a passion, and they're not making a lot of money. And then it was nice to, pay people properly on Knives Out. But the area can handle low budget, big budget TV. It's an easy place to film.
Now, Amy, you're originally from Texas.
That's right.
And how did you're basically a New Englander now for all intents and purposes.
Oh, I am. I mean,
yeah.
I now reside in New England.
So
but you've really welcomed it into your life, and it's in your heart, and you work here and you love it here. How has that transition been?
Yeah, it's been incredible. I actually hadn't been to New England until I met Chris Stinson over here, and years ago, I guess almost a decade ago, we came to visit, and I got to Boston for the first time and absolutely loved it. And I was still working on studio movies, and a couple of years after that, I ended up bringing Dumb and Dumber 2, like a unit of Dumb and Dumber 2, to Boston and doing that, and had an incredible experience then. And I thought, wow, this is a great place to make movies, in addition to the fact that Chris is from New Hampshire. And so we started thinking about that. And then we were going back and forth between Boston and LA a lot. When we shoot movies, we end up shooting in tax incentive states. So, after a while, we realized we don't really need to be in LA all the time. So we bought our house actually in the middle of Knives Out. We bought a house in Portsmouth and live there, and I just love it. I've never been happier. I think the community, the people in New England are some of my favorite people on the planet. I have incredible friends there now, and I really, really love living there.
And she eats all the lobster.
Yeah, lots of lobster and oysters for sure.
Was buying a house here and moving here, was that all part of being able to make movies here? Did it all, or was it a love of New England, or was it both, or was it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's both. I like seasons, and just the idea of living in New England was lovely. But because of the strong film community in Boston and in Massachusetts, and knowing that we can make movies here, we can bring movies here, that really helped seal the deal with why we would want to own property over here. So that made it make sense.
Well, being able to drive to work basically is important. And there's so many movies being made in Massachusetts now, and I only see it continuing. Especially on your movie, Mac. You're about to direct a new movie, right?
I am about to direct a new movie.
Wow. Yes. What's it called?
It's called Fear of Flying.
And what's it based on?
And you're producing it.
Who has Fear of Flying?
I have a fear of flying, and it's basically about all my anxieties and all my fears. But Fear of Flying is just a working title, but we do show my fear of flying in it at some point. But hey, this isn't about me. This is about you guys. Come on. Now,
Well, we did scout the Pease airport in Portsmouth.
yes, we're going to use a real
Yeah.
airport. We're going to use a real airport to shoot at. Yes.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Now, let me ask you this. What should I was going to call you Squirrel for a second there. I'm going to call
I think some people know me as that.
Yeah, I'm just used to calling you Squirrel. Squirrel, for anyone that doesn't know, is his nickname. Chris, ever since I've known you, you've been working on films, but you've always had that itch to get back to Massachusetts, and now you finally did it. Like, I mean, it took you about 20 years. What was the final straw that said, okay, I'm going back?
I think we just did a bunch of movies, Amy and I, that were not in Los Angeles back to back. We did like 3 in a row that were not LA. And every movie we got asked to do was not LA anymore because Los Angeles, they kind of lost the tax credit for independent movies. And so we always get asked to shoot in states that have a tax credit. And it was like, well, let's try to make Massachusetts work. And so we tried it with Sound of Metal, and it went really well. And then we did Knives Out, like we just said. And now at this point, there's so many movies going there that we know we could actually continue working. And also work on good movies, not just whatever comes up, just because we want to be there. But you can also make really good movies there as well. So you just didn't need to be in Los Angeles anymore. It was kind of like, let's live where we want, not be surrounded by traffic and cement and smog, and still try to make good movies. And it lined up with, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and being able to work in Massachusetts.
Yeah, you guys have made some really cool movies over the past 10 years. Like, you took that step and, making things like The Lovers and Woodstock and Leave No Trace and the Miranda July movies and Chronic. I mean, they're all such really cool movies. But what I want to get to is the most recent, which is The Sound of Metal. I mean, that just like went through the roof. How did you guys get involved in that?
Well, 100 years ago, I'm bad with timelines, so it's either like last week or 100 years ago. Our mutual friend, Ozzy Jacobs, sent me the script from his buddy, Darius Martyr, the writer, and just said, hey, you should check this out. And Darius was looking for money. And so we just met, and we stayed in touch over the years, and the project went through multiple financiers and producers. And every time it changed hands, I stayed on board with them. And originally that was supposed to shoot in New Mexico. And I talked to Darius and I said, hey, how about you consider shooting in Massachusetts? Because he also has family there. And he considered it and thought it was a good idea. We scouted and he said, yeah, this works. Let's do it. So I think it was about 5 years on that project from the first time I saw the script until we ended up working on it.
And you guys stuck with it, and you ended up shooting it in Massachusetts. And what was some of the benefits of shooting in Massachusetts, or what was some of the joys of shooting in Massachusetts?
Amy, what did you like?
Well, as I said before, I think the crew, everyone that we hired, I mean, some of the best people I've ever met in my life who are now good friends of ours, worked with us on Sound of Metal because, on the super low budget movies like that, you really get film lovers involved and people who really want to be there and really, have a passion for movie making, regardless of, their rate or time commitment or anything like that.
Yeah, like our production designer, Jeremy Woodward, location manager, Stephen Hartman, our makeup artist, Julie Lachane. There's a lot of people that we've worked with since then we want to keep working with because they're so great. We kind of send them everything and hope they say yes. But like Amy said, it's a great crew. Just being back there in the summer was amazing, Like I like humidity. Not everybody likes it, but I kind of liked it. And the random like lightning storms that roll through. It's kind of exciting. Just all the stuff that I hadn't experienced for 20 years of making movies in LA. It was nice to just like be in the weather, be in nature. We filmed on this really beautiful farm in Ipswich. Is that right?
Yeah, we were on the North Shore, but yeah, in Ipswich.
Ipswich in the summer.
There's also a really strong deaf community in Boston, and that obviously was a big piece of the puzzle for us with this, because we wanted to be as authentic to the story as possible. And we, worked with some amazing local deaf actors that Boston Casting and Lisa found for us, and it was just a huge piece of why the film, I think, is so good, because it really feels authentic because of that.
Yeah.
What was cool is this movie really took off. I mean, for a small locally shot movie, this really took off. I mean, you guys were nominated for Oscars. You won Oscars. How does that feel in terms of your whole career? Finally, something like that. How you guys have been? I mean, this is nothing new. You guys have been to Cannes. You've been to Venice. Have you been to Venice or Berlin or Venice? Yeah. You guys have been everywhere. You've done everything. You've made great films. But then you just, all of a sudden, you're up for Oscars. You win Oscars. Tell me what that experience is like.
It's been incredible. Of course, it's like the day of the nominations. We've made a number of movies where we listened to the Oscar nominations that year, with fingers crossed. There was a time where we thought maybe Leave No Trace would get a nomination. We knew, we listened for Knives Out, and that got the screenplay nomination. But listening to these nominations this year and hearing them come in, we had our fingers crossed for sound. And then, nomination after nomination, we're counting and we're like, how is this happening? These like 5 nominations, and then hearing the Best Picture nomination was like over the moon. And we were in our production office here in New York for this movie, and it was just screaming and running up and down the hall. And it's just that, moment that you kind of dream of, which was amazing. But again, we're shooting in New York. We just started. The ceremony was on week 1 of our film shoot here. So we accepted that there was no way with COVID and quarantine that we could be in LA. So we had to celebrate here in New York, but that didn't make it any less exciting or important. It was pretty amazing. Louis the dog had his tux on. He was ready for the Oscars.
Now let's see this Louis the dog. Louis the dog has become quite popular in your movies, and he's been requested to be in this interview.
Here he is.
He's
kind of sleepy.
He's a little sleepy. That's all right.
Yeah, he was up late.
He was up late
on
Louis,
set late last night. Yeah.
You want to see Kitty? Louis, do you want to see Kitty?
Come here, Kitty. Oh, she ran away. Yeah, Louis has become very popular. Louis was in Sound of Metal. Louis is in was in Chronic.
He's in a scene in Chronic. He was in a Thanksgiving scene, but he was in Leave No Trace. Yeah, and a really small movie we made called All Creatures Here Below. He was in that movie as well. So, and
which is another beautiful movie, All Creatures Here Below. That's a beautiful movie. I saw that at the New Hampshire Film Festival. You guys are
one of the funnier films that we've made.
One of the funnier, yes, exactly. You guys are huge supporters of the New Hampshire Film Festival.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we love it. We go every year.
Kitty.
Yay, Kitty.
Looks like you're about to get scratched.
Yeah, she's not happy. She's not liking it.
Yeah, she didn't like that one bit.
Yeah, tell me why the New Hampshire Film Festival is so special to you, aside from being from New Hampshire, Squirrel.
Well, that one's great because you can just walk the whole town. There are some festivals. Sundance is a totally different beast, but I like that it's mainly on one street and you can walk around and bump into everybody. Then you go to Tribeca. You have to drive everywhere. There's no sense of like we're all hanging out next to each other. After a movie, you're going to bump into that same team that made it at the bar or coffee shop and be able to talk to them. The New Hampshire Film Festival is like that. It's a very small town. There's like 5 screening rooms throughout the city or the town, I guess. And you just bump into each other. Everybody's at the bars and the coffee shops, restaurants. And you can just easily talk to all the filmmakers. And that's what I really like about a festival, is when you can actually mingle with the filmmakers and meet new people, meet other directors, writers, DPs, editors. And instead of just watching a movie, they do a Q&A and everybody leaves. They all drive home. That doesn't really feel like a film festival to me. So that's what I love about the New Hampshire Film Festival, is it's mainly on foot. Everybody's walking around, and you actually really get to meet everyone.
Did you guys see what I just did?
Mm.
I just went like this to push my glasses up, but I didn't have my glasses on. That's the life of wearing glasses. Are you going to try to bring Sound of Metal to New Hampshire?
We were thinking of doing a summer screening, or like a, you know, once COVID is a little further down the road, do a cast and crew screening, because so much of the cast is from there too, and a lot of folks from the deaf community and people like yourself who helped make it, hanging out at Middle East with us. That was fun.
I am a big promoter of Sound of Metal. It was my favorite movie of the year, and I promoted a lot. I promoted a lot, to the point where people asked me what I did on the movie.
Yeah, what was your title?
I was this guy hanging around the Middle East talking, you know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I went to the rap party too.
You were at the rap party,
Yep. Now, what is it like working with Riz Ahmed? He's really come into his own, and obviously now nominated for an Oscar. He's been around for a long time, and he's done some really cool roles. And how is it working with him?
I was so impressed with him. He's a really, really great guy, but also just insanely talented. You know, he wasn't a drummer. He didn't know sign language. And, you know, he got this script and he started working at it tirelessly, and obviously learned sign language and learned to drum in a really believable way. He had some incredible teachers along the way, and that commitment, I think, really showed through in the movie. But yeah, just fantastic to work with.
It's crazy nice, humble, nice, hard worker. It's like dream come true when you cast someone like that. It's very rare. So it's nice to see him get a lot of accolades, because he really worked his butt off, and he's a good human. But, you know, a lot of these people that get awards are not always nice humans behind the scenes. He's one of the really good ones.
And I want to ask about Paul Raci. He must be amazing.
Well, Phinney, Phinney. Louis chose to work with him. Louis won't just do scenes with anybody. So Louis met him, and he was like, okay, I could work with this guy. And when that happened, we decided to cast Paul.
That is not true at all, but
makes sense.
Yeah, they had some good scenes together. Yeah, Paul renamed him Louis Aparicio, he's not named after that baseball player. He's named after you know, other Louis. But
Paul's got a great story. I read a great story about him in the New York Times. He has a really interesting past, and he's this journeyman actor, and I forget who told me, but he does work in the LA court system for deaf defendants.
Yeah, he's CODA, so child of deaf adults, and so he grew up, you know, sign language, and he is a translator as well. And he helped a lot on set with us, because we have the translators, you know, for all of the cast, but just the communication between cast and crew, and you know, obviously with Darius communicating with everyone, Paul was really integral in all of that.
Well, my favorite part was we had all these names, you know, all the financiers to like cast the name, and all these people, they don't know sign language, they're not deaf. It was just like, this isn't going to be good. And I really love that the director stuck to his guns. He's like, I'm not going to do that. You know, we were getting offers for like $10-15 million if we just got, you know, one of these names off a list. And a lot of those people said yes, they wanted to do it. And he stood firm, and he said, I don't want those people. I'd rather make the movie for nothing and cast the right person, even if no one's ever heard of him. And obviously that decision really paid off, in my opinion.
That's really cool. Yeah, I was really rooting for him, and he just has this thing about him where you feel like you know him already, and you feel like you have a relationship with him, and he's just really cool, you know.
Yeah, very nice guy.
The thing that I love about you guys is you guys make your decisions to make really cool movies that are more low budget, that are more indie, that have something to say, when I know for a fact that you get opportunities to work on much bigger movies, and you choose to work on these movies in New England and Massachusetts and New Hampshire that really have something to say. Is it hard sometimes to make that decision when you get like a big movie that comes your way versus a smaller movie where the pay may not be as big? And you know what I mean? Is it hard to make that decision, or is it truly in your heart, no matter what, that you're always going to make the more indie movie?
It's very easy for me. Very easy. I don't really.
Yeah.
If I don't like it, I don't want to work on it. And usually the big ones I don't like.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the money is.
I do feel the same. I think, I came from a studio background, and I still love big movies as well. Not because of the paycheck. It's not about, turning down or accepting a big paycheck versus a small paycheck. But I think, movies have, there's different movies for everyone, right? And because I do stunts, I still like big action films and stuff. And that's not really something that we would produce as producers, but stuff I still like to work on. But I really love making indie films. And, when I met Chris and we started working together, that was kind of a change in my career, because I hadn't made indie films. I kind of went a different direction than I think a lot of people do, from big budget studio films into indie movies. But indie movies are what matter to me now, and telling real stories, and working as a collective where everyone is a filmmaker, everyone's making it together, not just such a there's not hundreds of people on the crew. There's somewhere between 30 and 70 at different times on these tiny indie movies. So that is fun and reminds you why you want to be a filmmaker. At least it did for me.
But if Paul Thomas Anderson said he was making a movie about Big Papi for $100 million, I'd say, okay.
Well, Chris, you've, ever since I met you, we've known each other for 23 years now, and you have always been that way. You have always decided to make the movie that is a smaller movie, an indie movie, something you believe in, something with your heart, and you've stuck with that, and I admire that. And ever since I've known you, Amy, you've done the same thing. So I think that's really cool. And I think it's really cool that you guys are shooting movies in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. It's a cool thing, like not many people want to do that. And is it just the tax incentives type of stuff, or is it like a true love for wanting to make movies back here?
Well, for me, it's wanting to be back there. The tax credit helps make it so movies will actually go there, because without it, it'd be a lot harder. Not impossible, but it would be a lot more difficult. If if it was without getting 25% back, it's hard to convince a lot of investors, about all the other reasons. But we are at a point too where we have a trust level where people will give us a script, ask us where to film it, and we do have a track record where people will believe us. So we do have a way of saying, like, look, trust us, we can get this movie done at a very good, value in this state, and it's going to look beautiful, and you can have a great crew and a great time. So the tax credit's just part of it, but it certainly helps a lot.
Are there filmmakers that you really want to work with that you haven't worked with yet? And obviously that's kind of a stupid question. There's lots of filmmakers to work with, but is there anyone in particular that you guys would really jump at the chance to work with right now?
Amy, who do you want to work with?
Well, we've got some really exciting prospects coming up. There's a couple of scripts that we have that we can't say, but that are there's two specific different filmmakers that I think both are dream world movie makers for us to work with. So hopefully
the Safdie brothers.
It's not the Safdies. It's not.
I haven't told her yet, but it is.
I like the Safdie brothers. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting new information.
Yeah. But it was fun. We prepped the movie with Alexander Payne and got to meet Zentropa, and I've always wanted to work with Lars von Trier, obviously. Almost met him, but didn't, but got to see his office, and that was pretty exciting in Copenhagen.
And what was that experience like working with Alexander Payne?
It was cool. It was fun. We got to travel a lot. You know, he's a real like film buff, so every night after work we go out for, you know, drinks and dinner and just talk about the great movies of the world. And he's just very knowledgeable about that. So that was very fun. Just talking about great movies.
Yeah. Yeah, he was awesome.
He's a smart dude.
Now, who are some of your favorite filmmakers, Amy?
Yeah, of all time, I guess, you know, I'm a big fan of David Lynch. I don't see us making a David Lynch movie, but that's probably my favorite director. I love the Farrelly brothers and worked with them many times. As far as comedy goes, that's kind of
You like Christopher Guest?
favorite. Christopher Guest, all the Christopher Guest films. Yeah. So in comedy world, yeah, Karen Murphy is a good friend of mine. She's produced all of the Christopher Guest films, and those are some of my favorite movies. Yeah. Who else?
Sorry, I'm trying to get the cat out of the picture.
Kitty. We should read that, what's the Stephen King book? Tom Gordon, something like The Girl, something Tom Gordon. Anyway, I just botched that.
What?
But
yeah.
it's Lynn Ramsey, who we all like, is going to direct that. And it takes place on the Appalachian Trail in New Hampshire and Maine. So we're trying to help land that to shoot in New England, you know.
That would be great. That would be great.
Red Sox plus New England plus Lynn Ramsey and Stephen King.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else?
What about you, Chris?
Wes Anderson.
What about you, Chris? Who are some of your favorite filmmakers?
You know all mine.
I guess I do know yours.
You know, a lot of them, you know, 70s, Hal Ashby.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are older, obviously, Stanley Kubrick, Akira Kurosawa. But modern day, you know, we both love Paul Thomas Anderson, obviously the Safdie brothers, Yorgos Lanthimos. Alexander Payne was pretty fun to work with. Hard to think of them all right now, but a lot of indies, a lot of foreign filmmakers. Michel Franco, who we worked with on Chronic, we're looking at his next movie, and he's one of my favorite filmmakers.
And he has a new film out right now, doesn't he?
Yeah. And we're talking about doing his new one with Charlotte Gainsbourg in Chicago.
Oh, wow. That would be amazing.
Yeah, do you want to come out?
Yeah. Do I have to fly?
Yeah.
You can start driving.
Can I start driving? Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, we've actually got a lot of script offers for Massachusetts for the fall and already next year. We're talking to at least 3 or 4 movies for 2022 already. It's that busy. COVID just backlogged everything. So now there's just, you can't make enough movies right now. Like, people are running out of crew. They're running out of places to film. It's just that busy. So it's going to be a long run before things slow down again. And we're hoping to shoot, you know, in New England.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that also. What is it like shooting in the age of COVID?
It's like that.
Yeah, it's super hard actually, and I'm ready for that to be over. But I stunt coordinated this film in Boston in the fall. Actually, we started in August last year, and I think it was the first movie to go during the pandemic, at least in New England or in the East Coast. And that was incredibly difficult, but we made an entire film safely. And there are protocols and, great health safety supervisors and well-run health safety departments that can keep everyone safe and making movies. And that's been working. So super thankful for that. But yeah, you know, that's, we're still in that world right now in New York, with just all the protocols, the 3 times a week testing for us, and all the PPE and the mask and shields, and et cetera, et
six
cetera.
6 feet apart. It's you know, all your food gets individually wrapped. In past vans, you can only have a couple people. You can't share cars. It's difficult. It's stressful and difficult.
Now, is it your jobs to run that aspect of it?
For me specifically, because my background is producing, stunt coordinating, and I'm a medic, that safety is kind of always my number one focus. So in that sense, I do end up having a hand in a lot of that. But I have been able to, we've been able in these movies to hire incredible professionals that run those departments for us.
It's about a team of 15 people. And actually the company we hired is out of Boston. It's called Set MD, and they do a ton of movies, mainly in Boston. And so we hired them to do this movie. Even though it's New York, they're just such a good company that we used them. Yeah.
Now, Amy, I'm going to embarrass you here. You're also a stunt woman.
Yes. Well, that's not embarrassing.
Well, I don't know. I didn't know if you wanted. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it or anything like that. Like, what is that like? Like, tell us about being a stunt woman. I mean, that's exciting.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm always willing to talk about it. It's like a biggest passion of mine. I've been making movies since I got out of college, and I was a boxer in my early days, and still making movies. And then I realized I should be combining, my athletic life and background. I have a dance background as well, gymnastics, et cetera, should be combining that and doing stunts for movies. So I got into that a few years ago, or I guess a decade ago. But I've been doing that every chance I get and learning more and more. Fight choreography is my favorite thing. I do a lot of fights. I do, wire work and falls and just all the fun stuff. This sci-fi movie I did in the fall in Boston is called Mother Android. And it's great. We've got some awesome, dirt bike chase sequences and incredible fights and a little bit of wire work. And it's action packed. So I'm excited about that. And we just actually this week, I just finished the few stunts that we have on the Ray Romano movie, but a really fun, somewhat comedic fight sequence that was awesome.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, you did some stunts on the Romano movie. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I'm stunt coordinating, so I hired a couple of great doubles to do this stunt sequence. But one thing I did performance-wise a couple of weeks ago was there's a show with Steve Martin and Martin Short. They have a series coming up on Hulu, and I doubled Amy Ryan for a action sequence in that. And
she's the best.
Yeah, she was amazing to work with, and it was a real moment to be on set with Steve Martin and doing a fun stunt with him.
Amy, can you tell us some of the bigger studio films that you've worked on?
Sure. Yeah. I guess just before, or I guess when I met Chris, I was still kind of going back and forth between studio and starting indie films. But the last few I did was Alien Covenant and Independence Day Resurgence. So, with Ridley Scott, and then Alien Covenant with Ridley Scott, and then Independence Day Resurgence with Roland Emmerich. And before that, I did X-Men First Class and Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and I don't know, a bunch of movies. Dumb and Dumber 2, like I mentioned, I did a unit of that I brought to Boston.
I remember when you did that. That's around the time that I met you.
Oh yeah, nice.
That was Amy's run of movies that were all of Independent Spirit Awards.
Yeah, okay, so they're not independent indies. They're not like cool indies. Sorry.
Not all indies are cool.
Yeah, but I do love. I mean, obviously, like I said before, I love it all. All right, well, see ya.
Yeah, I guess Chris is done. I guess Chris is all.
Really sad.
Yeah, I still love those movies, and still obviously plan to work on big budget films, especially in the stunt world as well. But yeah, okay, so back to Louis.
So my friend Jennifer Sullivan, I'll give a shout out. She loves Louis. She loves Dog on Set. We went to see Leave No Trace in the theater, and she loved Willie Nelson, which was his name in that movie. And she's always asking about him.
Yay! Ray did give him a part in the movie that we're shooting now, so you might see him again in the near future. In our
you guys bring him on every movie, right?
Yeah, and every set.
I've met Louis several times at your house.
And he's clearly tired of it. I literally think it's because he was on set with us last night until 2 a.m, and he's literally sleepy from working late.
Does he take naps on the set?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
Do you guys take naps on set?
Every once in a while, you might need a nap. You never know. Especially if you're working nights. Sometimes at lunch, I'll take a little nap. Why not? Take a 10-minute, 20-minute nap to get back to work.
Now, what's it like working with Ray Romano?
Hey.
Wait, I didn't know Ray was here. Ray is amazing.
It's uncanny.
I could not. I mean, it's been incredible working with him. We were going to make this movie right when the pandemic started, March last year. And we're, starting in New York, and then we had to shut everything down. And then just throughout the pandemic, we would talk to Ray every couple of weeks and say, what should we do? Should we start the movie back up? And it didn't happen for a year, but, then we got back to it, and it's just been awesome. He is, every bit of the great guy that you would imagine him to be. He's just a stellar human, and every day is fun. And he's a great director. He's humble. He's kind. He's got great ideas, and he's really, really funny. So
everybody loves him. Nailed it.
He's been doing.
My wife Deborah. My name is Ray. Now, what is next for you guys?
Don't know yet.
There are lots of options. Lots of stuff that we're talking about, but we haven't decided which one will actually go next. But
this one films until
stuff.
June, so we wrap in mid-June. I'll probably be back in New Hampshire like late June.
And you're going to have my friend PJ up.
Yeah, PJ flies in tomorrow.
Oh, he flies in tomorrow. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Him and Ray know each other from the TV show Vinyl.
Vinyl, yes, absolutely.
We became friends on that.
Finn, do you know that I went to college with him? We both went to DePaul.
You went to school with PJ?
Yeah, so he was a 4th year when I was a 1st year at DePaul University.
Oh, no kidding.
Isn't that crazy? Wow. So we all know him from different times in our life.
Small world, yeah. Wow. He's a great actor. He's excellent. And he's a great personality to be around.
Yeah, we're excited to have him on set. This next week, we go into a bunch of basketball games, a lot of basketball, high school basketball games. So.
Yeah, I was wondering, is that going to be tough to shoot those basketball games?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about the other day when I was thinking about questions to ask you, because I know there's going to be a lot of games. How do you do that? Like, can you tell us a little bit how that's going to go down?
You mean like COVID-wise?
COVID-wise, camera-wise,
yeah,
kid-wise. I mean, I know that shooting sporting events is pretty hard.
Yeah, also something that I love a lot. But for this movie, we're gonna do. I think we're shooting with 3 cameras. Most of the movie we shoot with 1 camera, but for the basketball sequences, in order to get everything we can and have enough to cut together a really exciting game or basketball sequence, we're going to shoot with 3 cameras. But the funky thing that's happening is with COVID, we kind of we can have a certain number of background in like the stands as fans, but we can't fill the stands. So we're working with our favorite VFX company Crafty Apes, and we're doing something called tiling and also something called spriting, which are kind of a sort of new VFX thing. But the tiling is when you take, some of the crowd and you're just repeating the crowd to make it look, bigger. But as far as like density, because of COVID and people sitting spread apart practically, then you film these sprites. So you kind of like shoot like a background person on a green screen, and then that they become somewhat of a digital element, and you can put them in individually into the crowd. So between the tiling and spriting, that'll make the crowd look a lot fuller. But yeah, so that's kind of like our shooting plan. But then the COVID of it all is like the background testing and getting everyone into red zone. And we have, again, an army of health safety department members, and they're going to keep everyone really safe.
It's from 15 to 20 people that are in the COVID department, all new positions. And then everybody, every extra gets tested.
Wow.
It's well over $1 million just on our movie for all of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
How many movies could you shoot with $1 million?
Me?
Yeah.
About 30 or 40.
Yeah.
I wonder how much my COVID testing is going to cost.
That's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're going to help make it cheaper, right?
Amy is, because that's what she does. She does safety.
Well, listen, I know you guys are probably tired, and you probably have a night shoot tonight, right?
We're off tonight, actually. We just had our last night shoot last night, but we'll be
good. Okay.
For our next week.
Are you guys enjoying New York?
I love it.
Amy loves it.
I love New York too. I think it's a great city.
It's the best. It's so alive and exciting. And even during the pandemic, it's been amazing to be here during the spring as it comes back to life, as places open up with higher capacities and, people are out and about again. It's awesome. And New York is just such a great city.
And I'm going to try to come visit.
All right. We're here.
Yeah.
But my anxiety, that might not happen,
Right. You should. You come to this place we're sitting in right now and hang out.
Well, I would get my own place. I wouldn't invade your space.
I don't know, Finn. We've got space.
Oh, thank you. Well, listen, I just want to personally thank you guys for doing this. And I want to thank you guys for continuing to make movies in Massachusetts and New Hampshire and keeping that indie spirit. And I know it's going to continue. Hey, Louie. And I know it's going to continue. And everybody here is proud of you guys and knows that you guys are great to work with. And you got a great reputation for not only being good people, but making good films. And I hope this was fun. I hope I didn't flub too much. I've never done this before, so I had fun, and I hope it was fun for you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Mac. Thanks for doing that, and thanks for to Nancy and Brian for having us.
Yeah, this was incredible. It's really, really nice. I love talks like this.
So on behalf of the festival, I want to thank all of you. Phinney, thanks. I think you did a great job, and I think you really said everything. Amy, Chris, thanks for keeping it real, keeping it independent in Massachusetts. We really appreciate it.
And I only forgot to hit mute 20 times.
That's all right. That's the indie spirit.
Good thing you were there. Good thing you were there.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone who's watching.
Bye, everyone. Bye, guys.